If you remember broad-shouldered Obi-Wan, chiropractor Grievous, and higher ground Anakin, then you grew up playing Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith The Game. But which one? Because there were 4 completely different versions of this game, and in this video we're going to compare each of them. The prequels were a fascinating time in the history of LucasArts. Their approach to prequel tie-in games was so different when compared to other movie-based games of the time. For example, LucasArts liked Phantom Menace so much they remade it 3 times in the span of only 3 years. Also, around the time of Episode 1, LucasArts began to experiment with tie-in games based around a specific element from the movie. And this was taken to a new level with Attack of the Clones, where LucasArts released 6 completely different Episode 2 tie-in games. Click the banner at the top to see my video about those games. As for Episode 3, LucasArts decided to streamline things, and focused on making a single big tie-in game with a bunch of different versions. As always, we're going to start with the flagship version released for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. And to help dissect this version, I have my friend Adam from Under the Moons.
Hello, thank you for having me. Last time I played this game was its release, so this was a fun time. It's aged beautifully.
Okay, so the first level starts right after Anakin and Obi-Wan crash land on the Invisible Hand. Now, gameplay-wise, Revenge of the Sith borrows a lot from the Return of the King game, which came out a few years earlier. You've got a bunch of different attacks.
And you could do this. Try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yes, well, luckily in these first few levels, Obi-Wan pretty much carries you the entire way.
R2 needs some cover.
Damn right he needs cover. He's Rogering right up in that mainframe.
When you're not chopping down waves of droids, you will most likely be performing some kind of scripted environmental interaction, like moving this fighter with the Force. Alright, in the bin it goes. Eventually, R2's loose ways do catch up with him. And so, whilst Obi-Wan tends to the droid's digital STI, Anakin must venture ahead.
Oh no, I'm all alone. No. Just remember your training.
Now, when Anakin does get to fight, he has a bunch of different moves and combinations which can be unlocked as you progress through the different levels. The developers actually worked with the prequel stunt coordinator Nick Gillard and Hayden Christensen to make the combat a bit more authentic than the older games. So the next level is actually based on a deleted scene from the movie.
Hold on. Are we in a sewage system? The ship is full of droids. Who is there to use this?
Count Dooku? Maybe that's why he's slightly late to the duel.
Are we to believe one man is responsible for all this? This gigantic, endless sewage system? That's also leaking? Dude, eat some space fiber or something. Jeez. Fun fact, in Portuguese, Dooku means from the arse.
Good to know. And look, poor Obi-Wan wishes he still had his little rebreather from the Phantom Menace.
Let's remember not to come back this way.
And speaking of Obi-Wan, is he wearing like 80s power shoulders underneath the Jedi robes? The game is filled with these little cutscenes that allow the PlayStation 2 character models to show off their full range of emotions. Now, in terms of voice acting, they got James Arnold Taylor to do Obi-Wan. He would, of course, go on to voice the character in the Clone Wars. Anakin, on the other hand, is a lot less consistent. One second, he sounds like this.
Do you want this one, or should I take it?
And then a moment later, it's this.
They don't think they'll stop us, do they?
Alright, that's enough of this level. Make sure you close that hatch, Obi-Wan. You don't want to let that smell out.
Alright, back to the upper levels, and if you've already beat the game, it allows you to use some of Anakin's alternative Force abilities in these early levels. Look at Obi-Wan, he's like, I'm going to pretend I didn't see that, Anakin. Although Anakin isn't exactly being subtle about it, is he?
Feel the dark side's power.
It's also worth pointing out the attempt to make the corridor back there seem more busy with just a single jetpack droid who can't quite seem to find the right door.
Don't worry, lads, I'm coming. Oh, shit, I'm lost.
And finally, we confront the Count. Alright then. Ah, crap, it didn't do anything. Okay, better hide in the corner while my Force charges back up.
Oh, try spinning. That's a good trick.
I don't think that'll help, Adam.
No, I mean this kind.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that in the movie.
And I don't remember Anakin accidentally electrocuting the Chancellor either, but here we are.
In retrospect, he probably should have kept going. And speaking of deviations from the movie, there is no beheading of Dooku in the game. He just gets a saber through the gut.
Hold on. Look, Palpatine wasn't even watching the duel. You just see him turn his head like, what? No, Dooku's dead? Oh, good, Anakin, good.
Alright, so the next level has Obi-Wan and Anakin taking on the Magna Guards. Fellas, don't you just hate it when you wake up in the morning and your Sith lightning flows sideways?
So, we get to see some crazy space battle action. The level ends with Anakin and Obi-Wan about to attempt to land the half ship on Coruscant, and then, suddenly we skip all the way to Obi-Wan on Utapau? Kinda disappointing that we didn't get to play the Coruscant Fire Brigade Simulator, or a level where Anakin and Padme make awkward small talk on the balcony.
Yes, well, instead we get a couple of filler levels on Utapau where Obi-Wan takes on hordes of super duper battle droids, stabbing them in the gentleman's area many times. And you better take these droids out quick, otherwise they'll just hug you to death. And of course, these Utapau levels finish in a battle against Grievous, and it's a pretty standard boss fight. Well, until he grabs Obi-Wan and starts going all chiropractor on him. You see, Grievous actually had a successful clinic in a previous life. You know, before he became an android. That's his origin story, coming soon to Disney+.
Another thing to note is Grievous's death is also different in the movie, as he also gets stabbed in the gut. I wonder if this was a continuous effort by the devs to avoid violence, or if this happened because the movie was still in production and they hadn't worked out all those specific sequences.
And speaking of more deviations from the movie, the next level has Mace Windu taking on Anakin instead of Palpatine. Now obviously this is because Anakin and Obi-Wan are the only playable characters in the game. And it would have made for a pretty crap level if Anakin just stood there watching the other two fight. I don't know, maybe they could have made like a rhythm-based minigame as Anakin slowly gets seduced to the dark side. And if you fail, he doesn't kill everyone. But instead, the developers just pivoted the battle.
Oh, it's a pivot, alright. Look, they both jump out of the window and fight on the balcony.
Hold on, maybe that means Mace isn't dead after all. Palpatine throws him from the window in the movie, but I didn't realize there was a balcony like 6 feet below.
Well, the game makes sure you know he's dead because, as you guessed it, Anakin stabs him through the gut, and then he goes out the window.
Also, can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that, while all of this is happening, Palpatine is just chilling on the windowsill doing the Thriller album pose?
Next up, we have Anakin and the 501st attacking the Jedi Temple, starting off with Jocasta Nu. Find this system in the archive, you toffee-nosed snob! This level consists of Anakin taking on hordes of Jedi. Well, actually, it's mainly just this guy here. Clive, the generic Jedi, and his many clones.
Oh, I know Clive, he's cousins with Keith the Jedi from the Clone Wars game. Also, we get these generic fellas. Get off me, get off me.
Oh no, the taxis are here. I'm here to protect everything the Jedi stands for.
Alright, so Anakin fights through the temple and ends up in the landing bay, where he decides to just jump into a turret and shoot a bunch of Jedi starfighters and more Clives. For God's sake, couldn't they at least try to have some different Jedi?
Be careful what you wish for, because the next level is a boss fight against the one and only Jedi, Sarah, sister to Karen the Jedi.
Fun fact, you also take on her master, Sendralik, who you saw in the movie for a second. He was actually played by Nick Gillard, the stunt coordinator.
Whoa, look, what a shocker. He also gets stabbed in the gut.
Anakin then travels to Mustafar to take out the Separatist leaders. Well, eventually. First, he's got to trek through these long levels filled with generic guards. But at least it gives him some time to open up about some of his insecurities.
Bigger isn't better.
To be fair, he does go on quite a bit here. Especially when he picks up these back-to-health packs.
I'm ready for anything now. Much better. It's about time.
Anakin, if I didn't know better, I'd think you were being paid to endorse these things. That's better. The refreshing taste of Bacta for the busy Jedi and/or Sith on the go. And now introducing Bacta Light, Bacta Dark, and Cherry Bacta.
This level is a real grind. You finally get the satisfaction of taking out the Separatists, only for Newt Gunray to escape and try to blast you from his ship. The audacity.
Hey, at least you get some of that sweet, sweet Bacta.
Right, what do we have next? Oh yes, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda at the Jedi Temple. Look at the little dude, he's having great fun slaughtering all these clones. This is suppressed energy right here.
Dreams of shanking clones I had. Murder you, yes.
And then we have the final level, the Duel on Mustafar. Now, the big gimmick of this level is of course that you get to play it twice, once as each of the characters. Playing it as Obi-Wan gets you the regular ending, but playing it as Anakin gets the dark side ending, where, you guessed it, Anakin stabs his master in the gut, and then gives him a little kick just for good measure.
But Obi-Wan isn't the only one on the murder menu, as he goes for old Bell Palpatine too. but the game subverts expectations as Anakin stabs him through the guts still. It's still the guts. And his nether region was right there for the shanking.
And that's it for the campaign, which I think has aged really well thanks to all the prequel memes. Unfortunately, the multiplayer in this game leaves more to be desired. You've got a few levels where you fight these generic swarms of enemies, but that's pretty much it for the co-op, which is a real shame because most of the campaign levels lend themselves really well to co-op, as demonstrated by LEGO Star Wars, which was released 2 months before this game. And even in this game, a lot of the levels already have a co-op companion programmed in. I guess they just ran out of time. Shame, as this could have ended up being the Return of the King of Star Wars games. Instead, we'll just have to make do with Jedi power battles.
It's not all bad. This game does have a versus mode, which has all your favourite characters. Obi-Wan, older Obi-Wan, Vader, and of course, Sarah. Plus, it has the Death Star as one of the stages, so you and a friend can recreate the iconic New Hope duel.
Oh, forget this. Luke, don't leave me. Luke! Leia! Remember me from that expensive but overall mediocre adventure we went on?
Okay, moving on, we have the Game Boy Advance version. This one was definitely inspired by classic side-scrolling beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage. You make your way through levels, chopping down enemies, collecting power-ups, and taking on a variety of bosses. Now, just like the console version, you can upgrade your characters as you progress with moves like Saber Throw, Push, and, Limit Break? I also really like the art style they chose for this game. The animations are smooth, and the designs lend themselves much better to the GBA than some of the more realistic art styles like the Attack of the Clones game. And this version also revolves around Obi-Wan and Anakin. Both characters start on the same path aboard the Invisible Hand. They make their way through the ship before taking on Dooku. The two Jedi rescue the Chancellor, and you actually get to see the crash landing this time, at which point the characters' paths diverge. Anakin gets a scene where Palpatine appoints him to the Council, and then one with Mace Windu.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master.
Mace, we're still in the Chancellor's office.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
What, just here? We then get a level with Anakin, taking on battle droids on Coruscant? Damn, the capital's security is seriously lacking letting all these droids slip past. Look, you've got droidicars, the super duper battle droids that hug you. They even let a damn tank slip through. Alright, so then Palpatine reveals he's a Sith, Anakin tells Mace, who dramatically swishes his cloak and runs away. Okay, so we're in the Chancellor's chambers now. Yep, more battle droids, right in the middle of Palpatine's living room. The rest of this game is quite similar to the console version. Anakin reaches Windu, fights him, turns to the dark side, and then it's off to the temple to take on more Jedi Clives and vandalize the library. Anakin then flies to Mustafar and takes out the Separatist leaders. You actually get to see Padme in this version. Oh wow, and they actually show Anakin choking his pregnant wife. Anakin then duels Obi-Wan before getting chopped up. Alright, as for Obi-Wan's path, it's the same up to the point when they arrive on Coruscant. Obi-Wan then does a couple of Utapau levels, which end in a battle against Grievous in the middle of the Arizona desert. Why are these cactuses all over the place? Obi-Wan then gets betrayed by the clones and fights his way out. We get the same two Jedi Temple levels recycled, this time with clones instead of Jedi Clives. And then the final battle against Anakin. Now, there's no alternative ending on the GBA, but each of the characters' endings focus on the light or dark side of the story. Oh, and you see a shot of Force Ghost Qui-Gon just chilling with Obi-Wan and Yoda. Apparently this was supposed to be in the movie, but Liam Neeson got into a motorcycle accident. The Nintendo DS version is near identical to the Game Boy Advance apart from a few differences. The music is much higher in quality due to the better hardware, and it also has these flying levels. Now, the levels themselves are pretty generic, but I was honestly surprised at how smooth and intricate the Starfighter controls are for a DS game. Both of these games have different multiplayer modes. The Game Boy version fully embraces its Streets of Rage roots and allows you and a friend to play through this prequel campaign to the main game. There are about 5 levels and they're based on the locations from the Clone Wars miniseries. Now, the DS version has a dogfight multiplayer mode based on the flying levels, and you get a good selection of ships and stages from all across the saga. Okay, moving on, it wouldn't be a comparison video without the Java mobile game. This is another side-scrolling action game, but obviously being a mobile game, it's very basic. You just walk right and chop down enemies. Oh, and Anakin can skate around levels. Whee! You'll never catch touch me, old man? No, now I'm dead. And finally, we have the plug-and-play TV game. Remember those? They would usually be built into the controller, and the controllers themselves would come in these wacky shapes, and of course, Revenge of the Sith is no exception. God, looks like someone shoved poor Vader into a hydraulic press. There are a bunch of very basic games on this thing. There's like an asteroids clone and a top-down chase game, but my favorite is the Droid Invasion. Obi-Wan must use his lightsaber to deflect the Separatist droid army's laser beams and save the Republic. Alright, no pressure, Obi-Wan. So, here we are, on the plains of Naboo for some reason. Alright, Obi-Wan, show them how it's— oh no, he's already dead. That's right, one hit and you're done for. Same with the Anakin game. And so, there we have it, every version of Revenge of the Sith, the game. Now, both the handheld games are solid beat-em-ups and the multiplayer modes are a great addition, but I think most of us remember the console version. Yes, it could have had a better co-op mode, but what we got still ended up being one of the best prequel games. I'd like to thank Adam for collaborating with me on this video. You can check out his channel Under the Moons here, and if you'd like to see more Star Wars content from me, please check out my second channel, AI Storytime, where I've just done a retelling of Empire Strikes Back with AI generated images. And please let me know your memories and experiences with the Episode 3 game. Where does it rank amongst other Star Wars games for you? As always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow me on Twitter. See you next time.